Hey there, everyone that's in here. We'll be getting started soon. Hopefully in about 10 minutes I'll be able to get Rob Eisenberg on, but if not, we'll be starting the live stream of the Keynote at the bottom of the hour. In the meantime, I've got... Hey there, everyone. Twitter that's here. In here. In the meantime, I've got Twitter showing up for you to see what's going on there. Also, you might end up hearing me making Skype calls to people. I haven't figured out yet how to turn off the audio, and my desktop is in such a fragile state at the moment that I'm scared to install the software that I've been told would make that everything work to where I could call someone on Skype without you guys hearing. But I'll get that set up over the next couple of days so that whenever Cecil and I or anybody else do a live stream in the future, where I'll be able to add people and stuff without you having to hear the behind the scenes stuff. All right, everyone. About to get Rob on the line. So I'm going to mute or lower the preview music.
Hello.
Hey, Rob. We are on the Keynote live stream right now. Got 5 people tuned in, including some very excited Aurelia users such as Steve Hartzog up in the Del Mar area. I think you've
Awesome.
spoken to him before. But the reason I was calling you today was to talk about the work that you and your team did to help the Azure folks on integrating the Azure CLI into the docs site. So
Yeah,
I'll let you go for it. Talk about it.
sure. Yeah. So this is a pretty cool project. The on the Azure team, there's a gentleman by the name of Brendan Burns, and if you don't know his name, that's a great name to know. He is the inventor, effectively the inventor of Kubernetes. I don't know if you can hear my GPS talking to me, by the way, while I'm
We
on this.
can't.
I am over Lake Washington right now. Um, Brendan Burns is the creator of Kubernetes, and he runs an engineering team on Azure. And they basically had this idea of delivering the Azure CLI in the browser. And so they've started working on something that we call the Azure Cloud Shell. And I can't go too deep into kind of the architecture of how that works, but effectively what you have is a front-end, terminal experience that is more or less backed by a virtual machine that is assigned to you dynamically, and you basically get to go to town through the browser, executing whatever you want against your own Azure account. And the cool thing is you've got the Azure CLI that's in that shell, but you actually have other tools in there as well, such as Vim, and you've even got the .NET CLI. So if you wanted to, on the fly, against your Azure account, you could use the .NET CLI to literally create a .NET app, edit your code in Vim, and deploy and publish all from inside of that shell, inside of the portal or inside of Docs.
Wow.
So it's pretty fun. It's a real Bash shell, and it's tied to your account, so it's secure.
And because it's tied to my account and everything, and apparently it has the persistent storage, if I wanted to copy in my Bash RC, I could bring that in and have my own personal Bash experience in there, right?
Yeah, so when you first onboard, your first time actually using the shell, you will be prompted to link a drive, basically.
Okay.
And that'll allow you to persist anything like that. And it also does really nice, rather convenient things for you automatically, so that if you do something like create a virtual machine, it will persist into your home drive, the keys, and different information that you need to basically interact with that machine in later sessions. So that's all set up for you, and when you first use the Cloud Shell, it'll set those things up for you and explain how that works. So that work was done by Brendan Burns' team, and Justin Luck is the program manager over there, and they were a fantastic team to work with. We basically came along and said, hey, we want to bring this into documentation, because wouldn't this be cool if, as you're learning about how to use the Azure CLI, you could actually use it right in the docs without having to go to the portal or without having to download and install any tooling at all. Just right within the documentation while you're going through a getting started or a quick start or tutorial or something like that. Just be able to click a button and start using it. So we began working with Justin Luck over there and Brendan Burns to bring this vision to reality. And so we did all the engineering work to integrate the shell itself and various authentication pieces. So that work was being done on my team, and the Jeremy Daniel, who is an Aurelia core team member, actually did all the implementation for the front end of that in Docs.
Awesome.
And then Jerry Song, who's an engineer on one of our dev teams in Shanghai, did a lot of the work on sort of the authentication piece. And so that was all coming together. And the cool thing is that we were actually, by the end, we were submitting pull requests back to the Cloud Shell itself. So Jeremy actually contributed code and fixes back to the core Cloud Shell, which is shipping in Portal and on the mobile devices and things like that. And we also contributed back to code that will be in Visual Studio Code, because the Cloud Shell uses an open source library called Xterm.js, which is a front-end kind of terminal library, basically, that you kind of build your back end to. So it provides that front end. If you look at the terminal, basically everything that's in the black box is kind of Xterm.js, right? So that library is an open source library on GitHub, and it's built by an engineer on the Visual Studio Code team. And so that library is used in Visual Studio Code in the shell in VS Code, and it's used now in the Azure Cloud Shell, and it's used in Docs. So we actually also contributed back to that, some bug fixes and things like that. So those will make their way into VS Code and into the Cloud Shell and all that. So it was a kind of a big cross-team effort in the end that was had a lot of different engineers and PMs working, across multiple teams. And helping each other out to kind of bring this to life.
Yeah.
Ultimately with the goal of just trying to have a great customer experience around interacting with Azure and getting started with Azure. So it's nice to know you could literally go to the docs now, and you don't have to worry about installing any tools or anything. You can start, you can do everything that the Azure CLI can do, which is pretty much everything, right? Yeah. You can do that from a browser, either in the portal or in Docs. And yeah, so it's been pretty cool. And so if you're thinking around on Docs right now, you might not see it just yet, because we're incrementally rolling this out. And in fact, the Cloud Shell, even in the portal, was incrementally rolling out to different customers just to make sure it scales up in a safe way. Because Docs is dependent on that initial deploy out, we were kind of delaying our deploy to on Docs until we watched how the scale out was going on in the portal and different things like that.
Cool.
So you'll see it come into the documentation in the next, it might be there today, but it should probably start appearing over the next few days, and you'll get to be able to play around with that. So.
Well, until people are able to play around with it, I've got a couple questions in the chat room.
Sure.
So Steve has a couple here. It's the bash that's running, is this using the Windows subsystem for Linux in the VM, or is this a Linux VM?
It's a true Linux VM.
It's a true Linux VM. And I guess you probably don't know about the future plans for the Azure Shell, but for those people who are fans of PowerShell, I mean, I guess PowerShell runs on Linux as well, but are there any ideas of having the ability to choose to run it in a Windows VM and maybe run PowerShell as their CLI?
So there is a public announcement of PowerShell will be supported.
Okay.
I don't know the details of plans of actually choosing, Windows versus Linux VM for actually your Cloud Shell session.
Okay.
So I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
Unfortunately, but PowerShell is coming.
I don't know how much you want to give away, but Cecil's asking, what can we expect from your talk tomorrow on Aurelia?
So my Aurelia talk tomorrow will be, it'll be pretty much a getting started kind of talk. We still have a lot of people that are very interested in learning just the, really the getting started for the story of Aurelia. But in this case, it's Aurelia plus ASP.NET Core. So I'll be showing what the story is that we have today around our tooling with Microsoft tooling and with Aurelia combined together. So I'll be showing the .NET CLI, I'll be showing VS Code, I'll be showing Webpack, Aurelia, Hot Module Reload, all those kind of pieces together. It'll just be a simple demo, but I think it's quite nice to see how the story has evolved around integrating Microsoft technology and Aurelia together. It's a very short, 20 minutes, so it'll be pretty fast and furious, but that's what I'm going to talk about.
And I'm sure you've met with this, I can't pronounce his last name because it's Polish, but I think it's Jacob Jidski or something.
Jittery.
Yeah, that one.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope I'm saying that right.
Azure Portal, and he's presenting this week at OSCON on Aurelia and TypeScript and Azure. So hopefully that will be broadcast or at least recorded, and we'll be able to check that out. But seeing that there are members of teams inside of Microsoft that are really excited about Aurelia is heartening for me, as our community lead, to see us building our community. And I know a lot of people are excited about the talk that you're giving tomorrow, both inside the team and outside the team, to see what it can do by getting a bigger audience for Aurelia.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Microsoft's a huge company, over 100,000 employees, and it's really a company of companies in the way it operates. So, the company itself uses a variety of different technologies. I mean, they use Angular, they use React, they use Ember, and they use Aurelia inside the company.
They even employ the lead for the Ember team and for the Aurelia team. So
exactly. And, of course, Steve Sanderson from Knockout, works at Microsoft too, right? So just a lot of different things are going on, but there's a lot of interest in Aurelia, and there's a lot of people investigating and building different things in different parts of the company. So that's definitely growing, and my personal mission is to do a lot of that, kind of raising awareness inside the company and just helping people to be successful. As an interesting example of that related to build, you may have heard about the announcement of Cosmos DB.
Yes.
At the keynote yesterday. So the Cosmos DB Gremlin query graph demos are all built with Aurelia. So
that's a little bit of inside knowledge for everybody there.
Yeah, so they're on GitHub. So you can actually go pull down the project. It's ASP.NET Core, TypeScript, and Aurelia is what those demos were built with. And so you can actually pull them down and, run them and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, that sounds really awesome. It looks like we're getting down to about 45 seconds till the keynote's starting. So I'm going to let you go. Good luck getting through that Seattle traffic. I know that, in my opinion, that is the worst traffic in the country. But good luck, and maybe we'll talk to you again later today during the keynote or something. If you decide, just text me, and I'll put you on. I can call you back.
Sounds awesome.
All right.
All right.
Drive
thanks.
safe. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
All right, and for everyone else, I'm going to go ahead. I'm bringing on Richie Rump today, calling him right now, and he'll be providing some of the initial keynote conversation with me.
What's up?
Hey there, Richie. You got video? You got a video feed for me?
I have a video feed. Hold on, let me see if I can flip it on. There you go. Check that out.
There we go. All right. Looks like we're getting started. How's that for timing?
Boom.
The spirit of creativity lives in all of us.
So while this is going, if you want to introduce yourself to everybody that's on the feed, I don't think everybody knows you here. I know Cecil does.
How can you not know me? What? My name is Richie Rump. I'm a data developer with Brando's Unlimited. Essentially, I write software for databases. It's kind of my deal, my stick. I'm also the co-host for the Wait for the Keyboard podcast. I also, along with Cecil Phillip, by the way, match out. I also am the community caretaker for the .NET Miami community here.
Yeah, Richie does a lot down there in South Florida. For the most part, he's pretty cool, except that he insists on rooting for the Hurricanes.
Well, they are my university, so I did spend tens of thousands of dollars to go there. So I figure might as well
I wouldn't
keep
know
rooting
about
for 'em.
spending money because I got a full ride.
Well, because you're a cheap
Florida State
bastard.
University.
That's why. So audio. What do we do for audio on this thing? Because I cannot hear it.
Oh, hold on. Let me send you the audio. There we go.
There we go.
Now, yeah.
Welcome to the world with extremely large surfaces where I have to carry it over my head.
I
And
was at
race
Build
cars.
2012, and they had a see-through television with a DJ spinning tunes on it.
Good morning.
Oh, come here, Terry Myerson.
Yeah,
Tell
Terry
me something.
Myerson, last week,
Creativity
I think everybody at
really does
the
live in each of
the
us.
Surface laptop
It's what
event,
fundamentally
we were all
defines
blown
us
away
as
at how much
humans.
weight this guy's lost
So often our lives are
when you compare
given
him
meaning by
now to
creating
what he
something
looked
out
like
of nothing.
previously. So,
From a
But
big
you see,
Today's
that's what
keynote
happens
should
when
be
you work for
pretty
Satya. He is a personal trainer. He looks like a personal trainer. So
does.
he's going to give all his EVPs, personal training. That's just the way it works.
I experienced my own personal creativity through software development.
and the audio feed is good. I see people saying good audio.
Seeing how
The
that code
grows
grows
are
and
good
connects
for
with
the
other
for
code,
Terry
composing
and
in your mind
the
how
keynote.
they'll all fit together.
Yeah,
When I
if you want to turn
started,
mine
I
up a little bit,
remember what it
I'm
was like
cool.
to watch it compile.
Turn you
Eventually
down,
seeing it
turn
come to
Terry
life
up,
on
that'd
the
be
screen
great.
as something more than just lines of
I'm
code.
not sure if I can do that.
There's
I'll
just
try
this
though.
amazing
Well, I'm just saying
feeling
turn you down all the
of
way,
creativity
right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
that comes with
That'd be
software
cool.
development. And I see that spark of creativity in our Windows community here at Build, and I've seen it in our community around the world. And this continues to inspire us and form the focus of all of our investments
ahead and
that we
tweet it
make
out.
in Windows. Because Windows, at its very foundation, since its
I actually
inception,
had to
has
unmute
been
you,
a
by the way.
place to unlock creativity.
Yes.
And we
Richie
continue to make
keeps me
great
muted on
progress that
Twitter, and I
foundation.
don't
The
care.
Windows
I
10 Creators
still
Update is
throw
now
shade at
rolling
him,
out
even
to
though I
over
know
500
I'm muted.
million people around the world.
I thought it was
Windows 10 is
just
now
for a
the
couple
most
days,
used
and it turned out to
version
be
of
like
Windows on the
forever.
planet.
Yep.
Sorry, dude.
Windows 10 customers are spending more time using Windows PCs, have higher customer satisfaction, and are more engaged with your apps from the
I'm
Windows
interested to
Store than
see
any
some of the
previous version of
far-reaching
Windows ever before.
features that we're going to see today for
Yesterday,
Windows for the next
Satya and Harry talked to
update.
these
Maybe we'll find
amazing
out what the
advances
name
in
of the
AI,
next
where we
update's
can
going to
all look
be,
forward to the
because
benefits of these
that gives us
intelligent
a theme.
machines.
Although the
We're gonna
Creators
build on that
Update
today
really
with a focus
didn't
not
give
on
us
the
too
machines,
much to think
but on
about.
your creativity.
Actually, I'm
Today,
still
we're gonna
using
share
Windows
three
Chicago.
big investments we are
I just haven't
making in our
updated, just haven't had the
Windows
time,
development community. First,
I'm still
with the
on,
new capabilities in the next major update of Windows 10,
well,
we're going to help
just
you
next
drive
major
love and
update.
app
Telling you, they're going to
engagement
name
for our
it.
shared customers in a growing
Mary Jo
device,
Foley will be ever so
input,
happy.
and platform diverse world. Platform wars have made it harder for customers and more difficult for us as creators to reach our customers with clear, consistent experiences, customized for
But
each
I
device.
have a confession.
We're going to show you
I
how we are
use a
fully
Mac.
embracing three paths,
Oh
I
.NET,
run it on my Surface.
Web, and C++ to help you create great app experiences that span across all platforms and all devices.
The big bombshell for today would be if
And
they
second,
announced that Google is going to
with
be
new
distributing
capabilities
Chrome
in the
via the Windows Store.
Visual Studio, we have built the most seamless build,
Yeah, I don't think that's
test, and
happening.
deploy
I
workflow
don't
for your
either,
work on
but
any platform.
For Windows
But even more
Windows
importantly,
S
we now have this
to be
amazing
successful, I
feedback
think
loop
that's going to
that
have to
removes the
happen.
guesswork
Well, I
of
think
what
for
your
us to be
users want,
successful, they need
driving
to
quality
clean up the
into our
damn store.
apps, and
That too,
driving
yeah.
that customer love and engagement.
It's
I mean, I
it's
am
bad.
using a Windows Universal
We're all
app
creators.
here with
And we
Tweetium,
all know that
but the fact that
amazing
Steve
feeling
had
when we
no
have
idea
the
what this was
absolute
and thought it
best
was a
tool, the
Mac app
right
should tell
tool
you
for the job that gets out of
that
the way and just lets our
those types of
creativity
apps
flow.
just
And that
aren't
is why
used
we
that much.
continue to invest in
I don't use
preparing
any
Windows
Universal
and
apps.
Visual Studio to
Just-
be our
Tweetium
home
is
for
pretty
all
much
of
the
our
only one I
development.
'use currently.
Not only
Sorry.
for apps on Windows,
I'm sorry. Is that going to
but
affect
across
me in my
all
MVP
platforms
application?
and devices.
Don't use any Universal apps.
And then
Oh, that's an
we're gonna bring
immediate
all
no.
They
these
kinda- they kinda
investments
suck.
together
Yeah.
to accelerate the next wave of computing. Mixed reality.
Amazing tools. Oh my gosh.
With that,
So
I'm
amazing.
excited to share the next major update of Windows, the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update.
Fall Creators
Designed to help
Update.
you unlock your creativity
What
as a
kind of
developer.
name is that?
Boo.
For our
It's like
shared
they would have been better if they went to a D&D random name generator and just clicked on it. Boom.
Now, to give you a sense of what's possible with the Fall Creators Update, I want to show you a new experience. It's built on .NET, enables experiences across devices. It's built on the Microsoft Graph. It's distributed through the Windows Store, and it's a universal Windows application. Let me introduce you to a new way to transform your photos and videos, Windows Story Remix.
They should have called it Arath, the female half-orc bard version.
Yes.
Here we go.
Story Remix finds your best digital memories and makes you instant
Marhorn
video
Duskwater
stories.
version.
Hit the remix button to restyle
Remix.
the video and make it
Remix.
your own.
SP1. Orana Tarkamos.
She's gonna love it.
Creators.
Google Photos
Voila,
already
your
does
story's done and
automatically.
Super easy to share.
What I don't understand is why are we talking about this here at Build? This is a developers conference.
It is, but you know they've always talked about new features in Build. Build, the version or the first build was where they announced Windows 8 and ARM and everything.
Right, but that makes
it's always
sense. I'm a
been focused
developer.
on
I do this on the platform, right? But having inside pictures inside my version. Who cares? I don't know.
Well, I think that what they're trying to say here is talking about the cool cross-platform abilities that you get by starting with Windows maybe and building starting your app as a Windows Universal app, and then you can through Azure and everything build a website and build a Mac app, build your Android and iOS apps, and cater to everyone. And that this is Microsoft saying, listen, if we can do it, so can you. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, and I have no clue. We'll see. And I'm sorry, I'm not giving my kid a Surface. You're not getting $1,500 for the computer. You're not. That's not going to happen.
It's ready.
Just buy them a Surface laptop. They're so cheap. with a leather top
Ooh, the Alec.
and no USB-C.
It's fine. Italian. Interior.
Starting today, creativity is the new
And you know what?
productivity.
I did notice that some people were complaining about some dirt on the palm rest, and I don't use this that much, and I'm already seeing
Yeah.
kind of dirt here.
Hi, everyone.
So I see their problem.
I'm Jane Bardeen, and I work on
I understand
the
that.
engineering team in Windows that brought you 3D for everyone as part of the Windows 10 Creators Update. And we also build all of our first-party mixed reality experiences. Now, as a first-party experiences team, our role is to bring love
Make Windows
and
great again.
engagement to Windows
Make
and
Windows
to
great
Windows
again.
devices. Our team is laser-focused on enabling the creator in everyone. Our journey started
sorry, if I was a
last
Mac
year
guy,
when we announced the
I'd be
Windows
pretty
10
upset right
Creators
now.
Update, including
Because you're starting to see all the, cool stuff coming out of Windows with all the Surface stuff, and even Windows is getting better. And what am I getting as a Mac guy? What really has come out recently? Yeah,
Touch bar, man.
yeah, touch bar on my
Makes me happy.
oversized Mac or my oversized iPad with a keyboard. I just
and they need tools to help them be
Yep.
successful.
so ridiculous.
And Story Remix, working
But it's not an
together
oversized
with
iPad
Remix
because it doesn't have a
3D,
Oh,
touch
that's
screen. It's
right.
a touch
You're
bar.
exactly
you can
right.
use Story Remix
Yeah,
That's
to
courage.
live your memories
Courage.
or to
We don't want
create
people touching our
entirely new
screens, damn it.
stories of your own. Whether you have an idea or you have no idea how to get started, Story Remix is fun, and it's a collaborative way to create stories
Steve,
that
you
will
spent
love.
way too much money
go
on your
check it out.
laptop.
So I'm starting here on the
$3,000?
Explore tab. This is where I can browse my entire collection of photos and videos. Now, if you have a large collection, it can be really hard to find what you're looking for. So we've made it easy by allowing you to search.
You know, I've
for
started
people.
using, because I
like
use
my
Google
son Oliver,
Photos,
for
I've started
places
taking, when I
like
want to
New
take a
York City.
panorama,
And
I
even
just
for
take
things
a
you
bunch of
love,
pictures
like
that would
dogs.
end up being in a panorama and just
Thanks
wait
to Windows
4
and the
hours,
power
and
of
then
AI
Google
and
creates the
deep
panorama
learning,
for me.
Story Remix can recognize
I
people
did
and
it last
objects in
week when I
photos
was
and videos.
up at that MVP
So
thing
now I wanna use
staying
my
at a hotel
collection
right
to
outside the
create
Atlanta
my
airport.
own story.
Just went out
So
on
I'm
my
gonna go to
balcony
the
and I
Create
just took
tab.
6 pictures going
Now,
across.
up at the top, there are stories that are
And I
already
said, well,
assembled
I'll get a
based on this
panorama in a little bit.
understanding of my collection.
And I
I
sure
could
enough did.
relive this day in history, or I could check out all the
Yes, it also
photos of
sends it to
food
the
that I've
government.
taken right
So
before I ate
the
it.
government would like to thank you
And
for your
then,
pictures,
down
and
below,
we are now
projects I'm
looking
working on,
at
like
them.
this story about a girls' soccer team that I coach on the weekends. I really like to make videos as
Let's
fun
not
as
get
I
me
can 'cause
started.
it
You hear about
connects
the new
kids and
the laptop
parents
ban they're
into
gonna
the
do
team.
for all flights
Let's
coming
open
from
that up.
Europe to the US?
We have a video that Story Remakes
And
has already
tablets.
made for me. And
I'm-
what's really unique about it is the footage
Next
was
month I'm
captured
going to
collaboratively
Europe
by all the
for
parents
Dev
who were
Sum
at
and to
that
teach a
game.
workshop.
I just set up a
And
story,
because I
and
am
invited them to
crazy,
join.
I booked
And then they use
a
Story
flight
Remix
on
their
Aero
phones to
Mexico where I
contribute
have
all
to
of their
fly.
footage.
First
So
I have to
what
fly
this
to
means is
Houston,
I
and
have
then
the
I'll fly
best
Houston to
photos
Mexico
and
City,
videos,
Mexico City to
regardless of what
Amsterdam,
device they were
and the
captured
same
on.
thing coming
We
back.
built Story Remix
And
as
it'll
a
take
universal
forever,
Windows app
but
using
I'll be able to
.NET
keep
and
my
Java.
laptop and my
And then we
tablet on me
extended
on
it
the
to
flight
Android and iOS
because I'm not
thanks to
entering the
Xamarin.
U.S. directly.
In fact, let's
I'll be
check
going
it out on my
Amsterdam to
iPhone.
Mexico City.
It makes I'm
Of course, I'm.
Okay, so notice how
Oh
Yeah,
my
let's-
God!
let's not get started
You
there.
know,
on my PC, and it opened me a spot where I can pick up right where I left off.
oh boy,
What I want to do
we
is
could go in
open
such
up
a different
video
tangent,
from
and I'm not
another
going to
video
do that.
of one of my
And
players,
my
Gina,
wife's gonna be
that
proud of
was
me
really good
because
No.
I'm not.
stories. I'm gonna
Is
find it
anyone
and done.
is anyone else experiencing the popping audio?
I'm
that's-
hearing
Story
yours.
shows up
Is
right
mine
in my
popping? Is
story
really the
right
question.
on my PC, so I can keep going.
Yes.
We've
You're hearing
added
me
pen and
pop?
ink support to Story Remix.
Okay.
And I'm going to show you what this
Is
is.
this
I don't know.
better?
First, I'm going to move forward to a good
I-
spot.
well, why don't you say-
for notes. And then I'm going to write a fun note right into the video. You might have seen inking on photos and videos before, but this is new. I'm going to anchor this note to Gina. Okay, now check out how the note follows
Okay,
her
this is pretty
as she
cool.
moves down the field and evades this defender.
My 7-year-old does that.
So I think we need this clip. Let's save it.
Man, Pee Wee Soccer
Gina
is
had a
hilarious to
phenomenal
watch.
game.
It
So
is.
I'm going to make a highlight video to really celebrate her performance.
That's the
And I
Microsoft
could
campus.
start making that video totally from scratch, but since Story Remix has already made a montage for me, I'm going to check that out first.
So it does do audio, or automatic. Just like Google Photos.
Using AI, Story Remix has picked just the best cuts with smiles and action, and then trim the clips to just the best moments. So with no work from me at all, I have a great video with music to match. And it's because of this tool, it took me from inspiration to actually making a video. But I want this video to be all about Gina, my MVP. So to do that, I just touch her thumbnail, and Story Remix will redo the entire video with her as the star.
Turn Richie's audio down a bit. Maybe that'll help with his popping.
Turn it up.
But I want a different vibe. Let's try
So,
an
I
even
just
different
tweeted
vibe,
out,
because Story Remix can do
something
that
my daughter
too.
did
It can
this
give
past
you a
weekend.
whole new look and feel for your video
While she was
by
playing
just
soccer.
Yeah.
touching the remix
So,
button.
if you want to go to
Story
my
Remix is going to
Twitter
change the
handle, it's
cuts, the filters, the
JORRISS. That's Joris, and you'll see her kicking the goalie in the face with the ball.
We'll have to play that in a minute.
Okay, so I've got a great video, right? But what if I want to go
Choose a
even
star.
further and make more changes to make this personal? I want to customize it. So to do that, I'm going to open up the story editor. This is brand new. And this is a storyboard interface
Can we get this for
where I can
podcasts,
easily
please?
add
Make
or
editing a lot
edit
easier.
or remove clips. It's really easy to use, even if you've never used any video editor before. I'll show you what I mean. So the first thing, there's this clip at the end where the other team scores a goal, which is unacceptable for my highlight video. Let's get rid of that. Okay. And then I'm going to find the clip where I
Yeah, we don't want
inked
anything
right
bad
into the
thing to
video,
happen.
Move that to the front here.
You could work in Washington.
Okay. Now this one I'm so proud of, so we need to let it breathe more. I'm going to extend the duration. Okay, and then if I want to customize it more, I can change up the filters. I can add text throughout the video. I can even add motion like panning and zooming. And these changes make it feel more personal to me, like I'm telling the story I want to tell. Okay.
Eventually, Hollywood
and then,
movies
if I want
will
to
be
change up
edited
the
like
song,
this.
I can do that thanks to
Yeah,
Groove.
I know. There's so
Open
much
it
that
up,
goes into
think
editing
about what
those
theme
things.
I'm looking for.
It's
I think I
just-
want cinematic. So let's try film.
I said eventually. Give it like 10, 15 years.
Okay, let's
Just gonna
amp
have
up the intensity on that one.
director doing all of this on his laptop.
I don't want to watch that film.
Okay, now I'm going to select that one and watch how Story Remix redoes all the cuts to match the beats of the song. This saves me a ton of time because it means I don't have to re-edit my video every time I change the song. Okay, so there's one more clip that I really want to add. You'll never guess who scored the game-winning goal. It was Gina.
I did.
So let's pull that to the
What?
end.
No.
There we go.
You're just changing history.
Now, on
it
this
was me.
clip, I want to do something really special to make the ending epic.
On a PK?
I'd like to try mixed
Really?
reality, but I don't really know how to get started. So for inspiration, I'm going to go and open the Remix 3D
Why is
community.
she kicking from
This
outside
is a community
the box?
site that is packed
Must be
with the
a
cool
free
things
kick.
people have been making and remixing in 3D. And you can see I open it up right
I don't
here
know what
in
is
Story
going on there.
Remix, just like I would in Paint 3D. That means that I can get cool ideas and content without even having to leave the app. And of course, I'm showing this to you in our first
Steve, this
party
app's name
experience.
is Google
But I'm
Photos.
thrilled to tell you that we'll be releasing all of these APIs so that all Windows developers can have access to our 3D Cloud in their apps. We want this content, these creations, to be easy to share across apps and the web, just like any other type of content. So we're part of the community. We support GLTF, like many industry leaders in 3D, as an open standard file format for 3D objects in apps. And we also support the Babylon.js Web 3D engine, so that these creations show up beautifully across the web. So I came here to look for inspiration for that final clip. And there's this fireball here that's intriguing to me. Let's open it up and take a look. Okay, so this fireball is in a scene, and scenes are made up of parts. And I can see all the parts that make up that scene, as well as their creators, and I could use any part as a starting point for my creation. And thanks to a new feature of Remix 3D, the original creators will get credit anytime I build something new. So there's that fireball that caught my eye. Let's open it up. And then if I want more ideas, I can see all the ways other people have been remixing the fireball right below it. And I do have an idea of what I want to do with this fireball. So let me move the
You're gonna put it on the
video
ball,
to
right?
right where she kicks her
You can
soccer
put it on the ball.
Okay.
It's not a PK.
Now, let's put the fireball in the project, move it over to the fireball or the soccer ball, and then I'm going to anchor it to the object.
Fire, fire, fire. Ah.
Let's see how this looks.
Oh my gosh, it's on fire.
You know, with the fireball, I'm genuinely surprised that the keeper was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna jump towards the fireball."
That's
That's my
good.
fireball.
But it's not enough. I want to go even bigger, and I want to end this
It is-
video
it
with
is-
a
I mean, I
bang.
gotta admit, this is
So
really
I'm
cool.
going to go back. Wait, let's end this video right here with a bang.
looks like she's
I'll
on
put
a
it right
Surface
there.
laptop.
I'm going to go back to our Remix community, open it up, and this time I'm going to search for explosion. Aha! Here's an explosion. That'll do. Let's place it in my project, move it into the goal. And this time I'm going to anchor it to the surface, so that means it'll stay in place even when the camera moves during the video. Okay, who wants to see the epic ending to my highlight video?
Everything explodes.
Let's watch it.
The truly amazing thing is that the soccer ball survived that explosion.
Okay, Gina's gonna love that video. Incredible effects like these where you can mix the real world with the completely impossible used to be available only to professionals. But with Story Remix and with the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update, they will be available to
All
everyone.
creators
We
update.
believe
Oh,
that everyone has ideas to share. Everyone has stories to tell, and everyone has the desire to create. And we want to help you get started. Thank you very much.
Hello, Bill.
All right, who do we have next?
Good morning.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for that.
It's
nice
Blonde Joe
welcome.
Belfiore.
I'm thrilled to be back here at Build with all of you talking about the
swears
Windows platform
he's 14
and
years
what we'll do
old.
in Windows.
Swears.
What do you think? You like it? I call
No.
this graphite gold. Graphite gold. You know, I'm trying to help out all the people who are confusing me and Alex Kipman. I figured I'd, make it a little more obvious.
Who?
So, what did you think about Lorraine's demo? Pretty cool, huh? What I'm going to do, I want to take you through some of the technology and features behind what she did and talk about how we're expanding those ideas into Windows, into all your apps. So think about what she showed in Story Remix. She was moving between devices seamlessly, even from Windows to different platforms, and it involved multiple users. She
That's
used
right,
different
Steve.
input modalities.
This is how
there was
Transformers
touch
was
and
made.
mouse and inking, and she took advantage of totally cool new technologies.
You know,
like
I could look as
3D
cool as
and mixed
as
reality.
Joe if I had
and all of
Microsoft
those
as
things make the app
stylist.
more engaging.
I can never be as cool
and
as Joe.
we want to spend some time talking
I'd just
about
be
this
Fat
notion
Joe.
of love and engagement and how we can help you
That moniker's been taken.
solve today's challenges of
He's dead, I can
device
do it now.
input and platform diversity and
Not
make
in
it
New York,
easy
buddy.
for your apps
Nobody
to
does
take
in New
advantage
York.
of things like 3D and mixed reality, all in a way that will drive higher engagement and love for your apps. So today I'm going to talk about two things. First, a new design system that will power the experiences for a multi-device, multi-input world. And then second, how by connecting to the Microsoft Graph, Windows PCs will enable unmatched cross-device experiences. So let's
boy.
get started with this new design system. I want you to think about what we're trying to do with Windows at Microsoft. We're building experiences for mouse, ink, touch, gesture, gaze, for an incredible range of devices, which include PCs, tablets, phones, TVs, and mixed reality headsets.
iPhones? How
This
about Windows phones?
diversity of
Is that-
experiences requires an expansion of our
Wait,
current
what is a
design
Windows
system.
phone?
And today's the day we're going to
I don't know.
introduce that system.
I think like two people
We
in
call
Orlando
this
had one.
Fluent design. You want to get a chance to see what it looks like and how it feels? Yeah? All right,
Fluent
let's roll the video.
design.
It's Metro Evolved.
Yes, Cecil says it's XAML++, which is a better name than Fluent Design. Go back to Forza. Okay, now I
What do
have
you
motion
think?
sickness. Thanks, guys.
So the Fluent design system has 5 elements that we're playing with and evolving. And each of these is intended to help all of us developers build more expressive and engaging experiences. So let's take a look at each and get a sense for how the canvas evolves. Light. Light has a way of drawing our attention. It's warm and inviting, fluid, and purposeful. We use it to create an atmosphere and a sense of place, and we need it to practically
it's,
guide us,
it's Metro
to
Evolved,
illuminate
but it is
information. Now,
is
light's been
nicer
used by
than
game
Metro
designers
was.
and photographers for years, and with Fluent, it'll be an intuitive way for us as developers to draw focus to the right thing at the right time.
I do like this light
Depth.
highlighting thing. especially
Imagine
for
the
like a HoloLens.
depth of the real world transforming your flat designs. Think about the
I'll
typical
never be able to
frame that
create a design
contains
that's
the
pretty,
information
though.
you present.
No.
Now,
No.
break it apart
Which is why when you hand it to
and
developers,
reconstruct how those things
it's not
relate to
scary.
each other in a
Yeah.
more layered physical environment. With better use of depth,
Listen,
we
I
can
was
redefine
totally
how
fine
people
with the
stay
gray
focused
stuff we
and
had in Windows
organized.
3.1. So,
Give me my battleship.
yep.
Motion design has a special power to bring all of
we
our
were still using
experiences
that,
to life.
I'd be okay.
And I want you to think of this like a director who's making a movie where the transitions keep the watcher focused on the story, on what the artist wants you to see. We can bring more
The problem
of
that we
quality
have
to
here
our
is that
designs
aside from
to
on the
lead people from
Xbox,
one task
we are
to another
probably
with a
not going to
cinematic
see
ease, making even
that
subtle
many apps
actions
built
feel alive.
with this. It doesn't matter how pretty this is, how great
Material.
it is for UI and for
The things that surround us in the real
experience
world
and
are
user
sensory and
interaction.
invigorating. They bend, stretch, they
The
bounce
big names,
like these acrylic
Netflix,
cubes.
Amazon,
They shatter.
ESPN,
We
they
want to
have
bring
their
more
own
of that
design
character to our
language.
designs
And
in the
then,
right ways, with a
the
physical
smaller names just
quality, inviting
unfortunately
people
are not
to touch and
building on this
interact.
platform. What I want to see
Scale.
from Microsoft right
We've
now
been
is
designing
more
our
about how
experiences
they're
in
going
2D for
to
years and years.
get people
But
to
it's time
use
to
the
move
Windows
beyond
platform
mere rectangles
more than
confined to a plane.
seeing sweet
The constrained
UIs.
designs of yesterday are giving way to tomorrow's digital worlds, and we're going
I
to use
think the message gets kind of
scale
muddled
to
a
deliver
bit.
benefits
Maybe it's
and
because we're just
experiences
looking
that
at the
once were
design piece right
impossible.
now, but
Now, this
does
design
feel,
system isn't theoretical, and it's not just
murky.
about visuals.
Well,
it's about
what is
interaction models
really
and
Windows?
spaces
I see more
and how
developers
all of
going
these things
towards it
come
again,
together. And what I want to do is go through a particular
Yeah.
Tell me,
example.
I want to hear
and
more
show
of
you
that
how we're
story, but
thinking
then
about
again,
that.
I'm at
And that is
watching
Windows
build
Ink.
a developers
Now,
conference.
the usage of ink has grown tremendously on Windows. In fact, in the past year, the number of ink-enabled devices that people are using has doubled.
Yes.
And
I'm a
what's
Surface
even more
user,
important is that
okay?
when we see
Ink
users
still kinda
engaging
sucks.
with the tons of now ink-enabled apps in the Windows Store, we see higher customer satisfaction and more usage and
My new
engagement.
laptop is ink enabled.
As part of
but
our design
haven't
evolution
yet
with
taken
Fluent,
the pen
we're
out of the
updating the
package.
way pens interact
You're not
with
missing much.
existing Windows experiences to give a more complete interaction model. And in fact, we want to make it so that people can navigate all of Windows just using a pen. Now, what I want to do is take you through this example. And so we're going to start a demo by looking at Edge and think about inking with Edge. So I
How about
open up
inking with
Edge,
Chrome?
the best
Exactly.
You had me
ink-enabled
at-
browser
you had me at
for
Chrome.
sure. And when I click in the text box here, I can just start writing in a handwriting panel that appears in place at the text box where I'm writing. And in this case, the text box was unmodified.
It-
the system handles this for
in
me.
my-
But I
in my
want you to
experience,
look
it
at the
doesn't
nice
recognize the
material
word
design
the
of
first
that
time.
panel. And watch as
Write
I
a sentence, buddy.
gesture. I can
Let's
just
see how it goes.
strike through here, and the ink recognition does what I'd expect. So I can rewrite the word I was
mean, if this
writing,
works with just
and the
standard
whole thing
text
is designed
boxes,
to create a seamless
then
experience.
that should work
My
with Chrome.
candidates are right near my pen at the top.
I hope so.
And the Edge and Bing implementation of suggestions is
But
unmodified
when I
right
use
below.
ink
So
and the
all of
pen,
this works
it takes me at
smoothly
least
and
4
really
times
nicely.
longer to write
Now,
something
I want to
than
show
it
you
would
how
with the
the
keyboard.
pen is going to
At
help people
least.
navigate through the system. I'm staying in Edge here. So I'm on a Surface Pro, and I've got a pen in my hand. And you'll see one of the ways that Fluent evolves here is that I can now scroll right here by using the pen. And if I want to go to a new page, I can just click a link. There we go, and we'll navigate. And
didn't
once
work.
again, I can scroll through the page.
worked!
And we've thought
amazing.
not just about the navigation, but also about things like selection. So I'm going to press the barrel button on the pen and just drag here to select some text. I get a context menu. I can copy. I can switch to Word. I can, again, use the barrel button to get a context
Word.
menu. I click, I choose paste, and it's as simple as that to move quickly between apps and experiences.
And now I'm plagiarizing.
Now, of course,
Congratulations.
An app like Word supports things like
It's
that
just that
same
easy.
ink gesturing, so I can strike through and items
I,
like
I gotta admit, that
the
is
sense
pretty
I
cool.
want you to get here
Like,
with
if I'm
Fluent
gonna be
is
able
that
to edit
the holistic thinking
or
evolves
yeah,
the way
just
the
edit
pen
my
works so
documents
that I get a natural,
pen.
complete
That's
interaction.
pretty neat.
But it's not
I
only
write it with
about
my keyboard and
navigating
then
through the system, but also
redline it,
making
strike
ink
through
work
it,
better and be more
delete stuff
complete.
with the pen.
So once again,
That's
with
nice.
Edge, we're working hard to make sure that annotation and use of the pen with your browsing and reading works terrifically. So one of the new things we're doing is enabling ink annotations in PDF. So imagine here, I'm a contractor.
Yes.
And I'm going to
Yes, I needed this last week.
into this PDF. It's a proposal that I'm writing for one of my clients. So I'll go here and I'll get my pen. I've measured this patio. I'm going to do a refurbishment. I know the width, and here I know the depth. And you see how the ink just overlays the image and the page itself. Now when I'm done, I can just save the PDF.
And that's an edge, right?
And imagine
Yeah,
I
that's
send
edge.
this off to my client. All those annotations are saved within the PDF document, so on the receiving end, when someone gets that PDF, all the ink is right there where they left it. So that gives you a sense of how the pen is evolving. And that's
So I need some concrete work done. Maybe how good is Joe? Was any recommendations on Angie's list, Joe?
Think
I'd like
holistically
to
about all
see
of
some of your
these
work.
interactions
The best
and cross-device
dressed
scenarios.
concrete
And you're going to
contractor
see
you'll
Fluent
ever have.
Design show up in the Windows shell and in our built-in apps over time and across
his hair.
devices. We want to invite all of you to learn more and participate in the evolution of the Windows design system at sessions at Build and online with us over the next months. Okay, I want to change topics now and go into
Please
some
do.
depth and show you a range of ways that Windows will connect to the Microsoft Graph. And I have to admit, as a
Microsoft
user
Graph,
scenario guy, when I
viewer,
say
is built with
Windows
Aurelia.
connect to the Microsoft Graph,
Microsoft Graph
I realize
paper.
it sounds kind of abstract. But stick with me.
Kinda?
I think this is actually a pretty big deal. But before I do a demo, I want to set up the problem. Meet Sherry. She's a typical creator. As an interior designer, Sherry's world is filled with possibilities and complexities. At any point, she has a lot of different activities going on. She might be reading or researching or authoring a document or making a presentation. She could be shopping, communicating. She's doing all of those things. Her activities are broad and frequent. One of the things that complicates this is that she does those activities across a wide range of devices. She has not just one, but more than one PC, and the PC is connected to devices like printers.
She's
she
got
uses
two
a
phones
camera,
because,
she has a
you know,
phone, and she's even
she has a
thinking
boyfriend on the
about
side,
getting
so.
some of these new Windows mixed reality glasses to use with her clients. This is super powerful, but it's also complex, and it creates some inconveniences for Sherry. And you know, you think about as she does these activities, her content might be stuck on one device, and there's no easy way to pick up where she left off as she moves from one to the next. We think Sherry could benefit
Google
from
Cloud does
a more
that. Doesn't it
organized
have to?
system where content
Sorry,
and
I was on Twitter.
activities
What
can
does Google Cloud
seamlessly
do?
move from one device to another.
Seamlessly move from one device to another.
Windows and the
Oh, yeah.
Microsoft Graph will enable this system.
I
Windows
love that in Chrome.
PCs will love all your devices. Now, today we're going to announce a set of new features in Windows which will bring your files and your activities and even the live content that you're working on
If
from
it's built on
separate
top of
device
OneDrive, it's gonna
islands
suck.
into a unified, intelligent
How slow
cloud,
can this be?
where the Windows PC
I have
will
OneDrive
help
through
you
my
roam
Office
from device to
365
device using the
subscription,
Microsoft Graph.
and I still pay for Dropbox.
So I'm going to take you through some
Yes.
scenarios and
Yes.
explain how this
Me
works.
too.
First, let's talk about files. Today, I'm thrilled to announce OneDrive Files on Demand. This is a complete solution for getting...
Whoa, what just happened?
We lost him. Oh no.
Let me refresh.
Joe, where'd you
I
go?
think the feed went out.
Say it ain't so, Joe.
It is streaming, but my feed went out.
Let me check on my
Let's try
side.
Edge. I'll try Edge.
Oh.
Yeah, let me know if it's working on your side.
That some of her files are in the cloud and not on the hard
I have
drive.
audio, but
Some
no
are
video.
on the hard drive, and some are locked to the hard drive or pinned to the hard drive.
Mine's back.
Let's think about a common scenario. Sherry's going to collaborate with some of her coworkers on a kitchen remodel project. And one of them sent her the beginning of a PowerPoint deck in Outlook, an email. And in Outlook, she said, save this to OneDrive. Maybe she did that on her phone. Maybe she did it at home. And now she wants to work with it on her PC. Well, it shows up in her Documents
What about her
folder
Mac?
because her
Does it work on
Documents
Mac?
folder is roamed to OneDrive with Files on Demand. She double-clicks,
totally
the file
missed
is
what
pulled from the
OneDrive
cloud,
Files
and
on
she's off
Demand
and running.
is it
Totally
what
simple.
we had in OneDrive
Nothing
back
all
in
that amazing about that,
Windows
except
8.
that Sherry didn't have to think about where the file was.
I know, I missed it too.
So that's sort of the first thing.
Shut off my feed.
What's happening here is OneDrive Files on Demand is figuring out which things should be on her hard drive. And it does that in an intelligent way, but it also gives Sherry some control over this. So if she goes to the Interior
Dropbox
Design Guidelines
is working on
document,
the same
which she looks
thing.
at all the time, she can make an explicit decision to always
I
keep
would
it on this
expect theirs
device.
to work better
It'll
than
sync from the
ours.
cloud, and then you'll see right there, it'll be on the hard drive where it will stay. This is great for her personal documents and her work documents, but I want you to also think about collaboration within a business. OneDrive take up a lot of space. This is 1.37 terabytes. And she can navigate that, double-click files, or pin them to her hard drive in the same way she would anything else, and therefore have the documents that she wants and uses all the time exactly where she needs them. And if someone else makes a change in the cloud, those changes will sync right back down to her device. Now, the last thing I want to mention, I'm showing you this in her Documents folder, because making the core parts of Windows that people use all the
When
time
that comes through, let me know
work
if that's
well with
loud
this
enough.
is an important part of the story.
Loud enough on your side,
And so
Richie?
I'm going to give you one
Yes,
more
fine.
demo here, and I'm going to create a
I don't need to hear
document
Joe,
which
really.
you'll know I'm making in real time. Hello, build, because I'm going to type quickly, and there will be typos. There will be typos. I'm sure it's bad. We'll put a little smiley face here, and I'm going to save this to the desktop. So we'll do save. I'll call this hello, and we'll save it to the desktop. And there it is.
The
Hello is on
typos
the
are very
desktop.
much on
Now,
purpose, I think.
in this situation, the desktop is
To prove that
stored
this is
in
real.
OneDrive Files on Demand, and so syncing is going to happen, and this enables great cross-device scenarios. So let me move over here, and we'll switch the screens there to show how this works across Windows devices. So on screen, you should see on the left Sherry's brand new Surface Book. And she didn't have to do anything, and there's an icon for hello right there on the
OneDrive
desktop.
Files on Demand will
Similarly,
only
right
download
next to that, you
files when you
see
need
a
them.
Windows phone. And
Yeah,
here
but
on the
how
Windows
slow
phone,
will the Windows?
thank you.
How
I can
slow will
open
it
the
be when I tell
OneDrive
it, "Hey, I'm about to hop
experience,
on a flight,
and inside there is
and
a
I need
desktop folder
these
because
folders."
Sherry's content is syncing across all her
'Cause
devices.
that's why I don't use
And when I open
OneDrive.
it up, there is the hello file on her desktop. So what she experiences is the cloud helping her get her content wherever she
everything.
wants to go. Now, I want you to realize how this works. This hello file is not actually stored on the hard drive of this machine yet, because Sherry hasn't interacted with it. Instead, there's an item right there that she can double-click, and then
Yeah,
it'll
but
be
Sherry
pulled from the
interact
cloud,
with
as I
it.
showed you earlier. But one important thing about how this works is that it's not implemented literally in the Windows shell. It's implemented as part of the operating system underneath the shell and the applications. And so I want to sort of illustrate that directly by showing you in PowerShell here that I can do a
Here we
dir
go.
and use
PowerShell.
the type command. We'll type hello.txt, and at that point, the file will get pulled down from the cloud, cached on our hard drive, and any application can use it, even if the shell isn't involved. So, thank you.
Yes, we need to use
So that
PowerShell
gives you
to
a
bring
sense
things
of
down
how
from
we're going to
OneDrive.
help users deal with the files that they're creating across multiple devices.
mean,
now, I
the-
showed OneDrive Files on Demand to
shows
you
that it's
on
at the
Windows
file
devices,
system
but of
level.
course, OneDrive is available on iOS and Android as well, so this story spans those platforms. Next, I
Listen,
want
I'm
to
just
talk
trying to make
about
fun of it, okay?
all
Just
the
relax, man.
activities
Relax.
that I described that happen on your devices using apps or the web. And to change the way we think about this and give users better tools for managing the complex world of activities, we're announcing today Windows Timeline, the easiest way to get back to whatever you were working on. So I
Damn
want
it,
to
Barry,
take you
are
on a
you
little
messing with
journey
my
here and
timeline
show you
again?
how Timeline works. And we're going to start on one device, but then we're going to expand our thinking to cross devices. So let's think of Sherry again at work on her Surface Studio. She's running some Windows apps here like always, and when she goes down to the task switcher button, you'll see the UI has evolved to include Timeline. At the top, as today, are her running apps, but below is a history of all the app activity and web activity that she's been doing. You see these beautiful adaptive
That's
cards?
horrifying.
Those beautiful cards were implemented because the app developer called the Project Rome APIs to provide an adaptive card to the Microsoft Graph. For Sherry, this is simple. She can pan back in time and just pick an app. But all of this data being stored in the Microsoft Graph allows some pretty interesting and powerful things to happen. For one, all that data is there so Sherry can search. She just goes up here, clicks the search button, and she can type whatever term she wants, and we'll look at all that activity data. She types kitchen because she wants to pick up her kitchen remodel project, and when she does, the PowerPoint deck opens up and goes exactly back to where she was last using it. So that's nice and handy. Now, this gets even more interesting when you think about
the funny thing, I'm
devices.
listening to this
Let's imagine that Sherry's got her brand new
I've been working
Surface
on
book,
screencasts
and
for
she
my
hasn't
little
opened the
knowledge
kitchen
stuff,
remodel file on it, and she hasn't moved it to that device.
I think I
but
tweeted
when
about
she
this
starts
last week
using
saying
it,
that I need
the
to
right
get
things
rid of
just happen.
so and
As she
now
begins using
in
it,
my
Cortana,
lexicon
implemented
whenever I'm
as an
creating
AI in the cloud,
presentations.
able to look at that graph
And
data,
Joe is using those
recognizes
words
that
a
Sherry
lot.
was just working on the kitchen remodel project on
marketing
her
approved.
desktop PC.
We
So
need all the
Cortana
buzzwords.
suggests that she might pick up where she left off. She clicks the PowerPoint item. The file is pulled from the cloud. She didn't need to put it on her PC in the first place, and she picks up exactly where she left off. I think you're starting to get a sense for the power of this. With the data in the cloud, the
metadata,
content,
like I
and
just
the
did.
activity data,
Metadata.
we can use AIs to prompt and help make these activities move smoothly from one device to the next. So imagine Sherry's in the meeting with the architect, and they're working on their slide deck. They're thinking about where they might bring the client to look at some furniture
I
samples
just asked
for
Mary
the
Jo
kitchen
Foley if she
remodel.
would join this
And
afterwards.
time passes,
Unfortunately,
the
she can't 'cause
architect
she has to do
leaves,
Windows
and
Weekly.
Sherry decides she's going to kill some time by reading the news. So she
Mary
launches
Jo,
a
can you
newsreader app on
join
Windows,
our
and she's looking at this
our
story
commentary, which
about
8
life
people
in a
are on
small
right now?
Kentucky
Or you want to do
town.
Windows
She
Weekly, we can
realizes
get
I bet you if
10,000.
she
time for
joined,
lunch.
we'd have more than
I gotta
8.
go.
My
So
8
she
awesome
closes her
viewers.
laptop lid,
We'd have
grabs
88.
her phone,
And we're
in
going
this case it's an
88
iPhone,
miles an
and
hour.
when she heads off for lunch, there's Cortana again installed on the iPhone, an AI based in the cloud, looking at all the data in the Microsoft Graph and knowing she was just using a newsreader app on Windows. So Cortana prompts,
And it's
would you
an
like
iPhone.
to pick up where you left off? Sherry chases the notification and
Why aren't they
Cortana
using a
opens.
Windows phone?
And you can
I don't
see,
understand here.
Here's timeline-aware Cortana on the iPhone serving up the things Sherry's been doing. She might resume her kitchen remodel task. But in this case, she wants to keep reading the news. So she clicks
On
the
her
newsreader
phone.
link.
No.
The newsreader app resumes right back to where she was, and Sherry can keep reading. Now, all of you developers are looking at this, and you're thinking critically, and I know you have one question in mind. Well, what would happen if she didn't have the newsreader app installed on the phone? One of the beautiful things about the system is that these apps can register with the Microsoft Graph. And if we know that the app is available on a cross-platform device, then at that point we can prompt the user to install. And that's another way that we can help patch these gaps. So as Sherry moves from her PC to the phone, or the other way around, if a cross-platform app is available, we'll help the user get it installed. Okay, one more thing. Sherry goes back to her home screen, and she realizes she's got one more thing she wants to do, so she launches the Story Remix app that you saw Lorraine showing earlier. She was a parent at that game, and she has some video clips she wants to contribute to the story of the Banshees. So she does that on her iPhone, and she heads back to work. When she gets to work, she goes back to her Surface Studio, and of course, when she looks at the timeline view on the Surface Studio, everything she was doing cross-device is there. When she pans down, there's Story Remix she was using on her iPhone, there's the newsreader app she was using on her Surface Book, and so on. So the Windows timeline, with these things in the graph, all provide a powerful new way for Sherry
So does calling
to
the soccer team Banshees
move
racist
from
against
device
Banshees?
to device and resume the things she was working on. Now, we realize that some of you are asking yourself this
And
question.
yes, I
We
need a
realize
Surface
that
phone.
people might not know what
And it
they
will
need to
report to
do
CIA,
to get their
of course.
phones connected to their PCs and make these cross-device scenarios happen. So one of the things we're working on in the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update is a way to help users discover this. You see here a phone item at the top level of settings to help people realize they can connect their iPhone, their Android phone, or their Windows phone to their Windows PCs and get a great cross-device experience. You'll see this show up in insider builds, and we'll iterate on this and improve it as we go. Okay, I got one more scenario to talk through. I want to see a show of hands. How many of you have emailed yourself a photo or some text to get it from your phone to your PC or from your PC to your phone? Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Me.
Today, that's kind of a pain. Why don't we solve that problem? So up next, I'd like to introduce what we hope will be the best way to move live data quickly from one device to another. The cloud-powered clipboard. In the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update, the clipboard itself will become graph-aware. So you'll be able to do a paste from one device to the other. And this is another feature that'll work without all of you developers needing to modify your apps. But if you do modify your apps, it'll get even better. Let's take a look at how this works. So here's Sherry again in PowerPoint, and as I said, she and the architect were coming up with some places they might want to bring their client, and they decide they should take the client to Ferrofino Interiors Furniture Store. So Sherry wants to navigate there with her phone. All she needs to do is do a copy in PowerPoint, switch over to her phone. In this case, let's imagine it's an Android phone, and in Google Maps, she clicks to type some text, but in this case, she doesn't have to type, because with the SwiftKey keyboard installed, being graph-aware, the SwiftKey keyboard can display the contents of the cloud-powered clipboard. When Sherry clicks, thank you. When Sherry clicks, the last thing she copied is available. She chooses Ferrofino Interiors, and voila, there it is in Google Maps. No need to type or email to get those things from one device to the next. And I mentioned this will work in Windows without developers needing to modify their apps, but because of the Project Rome APIs and the Microsoft Graph, it'll be possible to add value on top of this. So as an example, here are a couple things that we're working on. One is within Windows, we're working on designs to show the cloud-powered clipboard when users do a paste. That's what you see on the left. And on the right, our Office team is working on adding a visual clipboard right within the Office apps so people can choose things that they've copied in the past. And these APIs are available to all of you to enhance your applications as well. Okay, so the system that I hope you've seen here will help all of us. We're all working to deliver this love and engagement for our users in the app experiences we build. And with the Microsoft Graph, we think we can reconnect our users over time and across devices. Our intent is that these features will facilitate people re-engaging on their PCs, using Timeline to go back and do things again, or helping them discover new value cross-device, finding an app they didn't know was on their PC or on their phone. And when users have a great experience doing all those things, that generates more love and engagement, creating a virtuous cycle that's better for end users and better for all of us as developers. In our Fall Creators Update, for the first time, Windows PCs will love all your devices.
All your devices.
Fluent design, files on demand, timeline, cloud-powered clipboard. These are all ways that we're going to make our users' lives better. And all of this is possible because of the Microsoft Graph, the Intelligent Cloud, and the Project Rome SDK. I know all of you are curious about how you can get your hands dirty and start doing this, so I'm excited to help you out on that front and introduce to the stage the architect for Project Rome, Abaladi Badagessen. Abaladi, come on out.
You know what? I cannot say that name.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of names.
Yeah, you could roam where you want to, buddy.
This guy's so awesome, his mom couldn't
Now,
stop
Joe, Terry, and Satya may refer to me as an architect, but at heart, I'm a Windows developer. And the Windows features that Joe showed and the experience that Lorraine unveiled are showcases. They're showcases for our vision of how experiences will work in the future. Engaging, powered by intelligence, and connected across devices. That's the future we're building with Windows 10. With our
saying the MS Stream
tools,
sounds a little choppy.
and with the Microsoft Graph, and with you. Building a stage for your apps. But how do you move your apps forward into that future? Efficiently targeting all the platforms that matter to your users and continuously delivering value to them. And you evolve your apps to be more engaging, differentiated, such that they're right there for your users on the right device at the right time. Let's take a look at how the combination of Windows 10, Visual Studio, and the Microsoft Graph will empower you to modernize the code base for your apps so you can deliver experiences that drive engagement in the world of device diversity that we're all embracing together. Now, when it comes to modernizing your code base, we know that there are multiple paths forward, leveraging web technologies, leveraging .NET, or cross-platform C++. And we love all of your
super
code.
easy to do.
And we also know that sometimes it helps to have a bridge from where your code base is to where it needs to go. And that's why it's so great to see so much momentum with the desktop bridge. Now, when it comes to crossing over that bridge into the future, what we'll show you today is one path, how .NET, with new features that we're announcing today, will make it easier than ever for you to target multiple platforms across not only devices, but the cloud and IoT and beyond, just like Lorraine showed with Windows Story Remix. Let's jump right in. Here's the app that we're starting out with. It's a .NET desktop app. It's based on WPF, and it's for a sprinkler system company.
No, it's for Northwind Traders.
We'll see that it has a typical WCF data services client. It has some business logic.
They're still complaining about
choppy audio. And then we have a view model on top of it, implemented in WCF.
I have turned the volume down.
Now we're going to refactor the logic for this app into a shared library that works across all platforms as well as the cloud.
Yes, it's raining in DC. Come on, man. Keep up. Let's go.
Mobile services backend.
And it's paused.
And that'll make cross-device features easier to light up later on.
I don't hear him at all.
We see this transition to a shared code base as one that's so important for your apps that are betting on .NET. And that's why last year we announced .NET Standard, which was a big step easier to share code across platforms and the cloud. And that's why today we are so pleased to announce support for .NET Standard 2.0 for UWP, available later this year. Now, with this announcement, we're demonstrating our commitment.
All the intricacies of all this.
Our commitment to empowering you to take your .NET code wherever it needs to go, across the range of app patterns that we see emerging. Let's take a look at our solution after the transition. Now, we've got one shared library containing our core business logic. We can refer to this from all of the platforms that we're targeting. We have a target for Android, for iOS, and for UWP. And we have our Azure Mobile Services backend right here, all courtesy of .NET Standard 2.0. And since we have multiple targets, we can see what that looks like across each of the platforms, and we get a native look and feel on each one. Now, so far, we have separate UI for each target. And if we wanted the UI to be different, that makes sense. But often, we want to share UI for simple forms, for example, the same way that .NET Standard 2.0 enables us to share code. Now, if you've tried to share UI across platforms, you'll have found that the XAML syntax is different between UWP and Xamarin Forms. We've heard the feedback loud and clear. Align XAML syntax to make it easier for you to share UI. And so today, we are pleased to announce XAML Standard 1.0 will be available later this year for Windows, iOS, and Android. The spec is under development right now, so get involved. We want all of your feedback. With .NET Standard, we now have our core shared library containing our common logic. With XAML and Xamarin Forms, we get a native look and feel on Windows, iOS, and Android. And with XAML standard,
Linux?
we'll have shared UI across
standard
platforms. This is powerful. And this is what modernizing your code base looks like with .NET. Sharing code and UI efficiently across platforms and with the cloud. And so we've laid a foundation now in our app with a modernized code base. Next, we'll look at two areas where we're investing to empower you to drive user engagement in your apps. First, our Fluent design system,
And I lost the audio.
which will empower your apps to engage with users across the devices that they use,
You lost
from
the
large
audio?
screens to small
for the
screens
feed.
to no screen, and
The build
across the
feed.
interactions that they choose on
There we
those
go.
devices. And second, the Microsoft Graph, which will empower your apps to stay engaged as users move across those devices and across those platforms. Let's jump right in and make this concrete.
Yeah, dude, let's see
Now,
this. Colin,
by
show me a
modernizing
super
our
easy
code base,
example.
we've already laid a great foundation for a user experience that's more engaging. And as a UWP app, we get a lot for free on Windows. For example, our app scales up nicely to use all the additional screen real estate we have available on PCs. And similarly, it now works well with touch, as well as with keyboard and mouse. Likewise, our users can write on text input areas. Let's update the address right here. Unit 3. And we get inline ink input for free. Now, we know that people
was
who
able to
have
understand
pens
his chicken
love
scratch
using
there.
apps that support the pen well. And so for free, we're enabling the pen to be used in more and more
be video.
places that make sense across the platform. Now, as Joe showed earlier, you can now scroll smoothly with the pen. And here's another
Carl
example.
Franklin can't think of everything, man. Come on now.
The data grid control is such an important
Carl
control
Franklin
for a lot of
think of it?
apps.
He
And so
should've.
we've updated the Telerik UI for
Probably take away his
UWP
RP
data
as
grid
well.
control to add great support for the pen. Let's imagine that our user is triaging items in this list box here. She can simply strike through, confirm, and
Oh,
it's that
that's scary.
simple to manipulate information in an app using the pen. So a user
that's
who's
pretty
holding
nice.
a pen in her hand is that much more efficient and engaged in your app. Now, as we evolve the Fluent design system together, the approach that we're taking is to make it easy for you to differentiate your apps with simple code and UI markup changes that bring to life features like the ones that Joe showed you earlier today. And so let's take a look at two examples.
We didn't have Build 20 years ago.
First of all,
we had PDC every
one of
once
the
in a while. and we
features that
liked
Joe
it.
showed is acrylic, which is a material that we can use in areas like navigation bars to create a sense of depth. As you can see in this screen's navigation bar, the use of acrylic allows the background to bleed through, and that naturally places more visual emphasis on the data grid control or any other controls that we want the
That's
user
the
to be
absolute
focused on in
keynote.
our app. Here's another example. You might have noticed the connected animations in some of the videos that we showed earlier. Let's take a look at what those look like. Now, we can adopt connected animations to make transitions from one screen to another feel more fluid. And at the same time, they help to guide the user's focus to streamline flows that go across multiple
difficult
screens.
why
will
is
this be
fluid-
to
Let's
do?
take another look.
What's that?
How difficult will it be to implement these?
And you'll notice how your eye
Yeah,
naturally
exactly.
follows the image across that transition.
Well, that and now they're overloading
Let's look
the
at the
term
code
fluid.
to enable these two features in our application. So
Driving me
first of
nuts.
all, here's
Here we
the
go.
acrylic brush that we defined for our navigation bar. The brush changed the material for the navigation bar to have transparency and blur when we moved the screen around. All we had to do was specify the tint color we want, the opacity, and the fallback color, and the system takes care of the rest. You'll start seeing acrylic appearing by default in our XAML controls with the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update, starting with the navigation view. How about connected animations? Well, in a connected animation, the transition goes from one page to another. So all we had to do was use the connected animation service to initiate the transition on the source page, as shown here, specifying the XAML element that we want to have animated. And then, on the target page, we complete the transition, specifying the same XAML element. And that's how we enable fluid transitions across screens in our apps now.
I hate XAML.
It really is that easy. And that's how easy we're making it to differentiate your user experiences with the Fluent design system. As we evolve the design system, as Joe shared, we're really embracing the fact that our users are constantly on the move in a world of diverse devices. And the onus is on us to keep up with them and to deliver experiences that stay at the user's fingertips. And that's why we're connecting Windows itself to the Microsoft Graph. The connection of Windows and the Microsoft Graph introduces two new facilities that your apps can take advantage of. The first facility is devices, and the second is activities. And the APIs for these will enable you to build apps that are deeply connected with your users across the devices
I was at
and across
TDC
the
in LA,
platforms
but
that
in
they use.
2008,
The APIs are built in on Windows 10.
Azure,
and they're available on Android with the Project Rome SDK for Android that we released earlier this year.
Every
And
speaker
today,
said something different.
we are pleased to announce support for iOS with the Project
like
Rome
Aurelia.
SDK for iOS.
Aurelia.
Thank you.
Aurelia.
With today's announcement,
I've heard
we're
some people
empowering
just
you to
completely
enable the
butcher
kind of connected
Aurelian?
experiences that you've seen today across your users' Windows, Android, and iOS devices. But what does this look like for our app? Well, we know that our users have mobile devices and PCs, and that they move from one to another
my laptop real quick
as they're
the
getting
audio
things
levels,
done.
So I'm going mute
So
for
we
a
can
second.
use the Activities API to enable our users to pick up where they left off across devices, whether that's through the timeline or through Cortana. Let's take a look at the code for integrating our app with the Activities API. Now, in a flow like this, the user's flow will start on one device, and it'll continue on another. So what we'll do is use the Activities API to capture the user's task on the source device in context. And then on the target device, we'll use the activation parameters that we get when we're launched to continue the task. The Microsoft Graph will provide the glue between the devices for our user.
Oh boy.
And Windows Timeline, or Cortana, will be the UI that makes it all work. Here's the code for capturing the user's task. In this case,
feels like
the
it's gonna be
task of
sticky.
creating a new customer. We specify the deep link, which is basically an app link that allows us to identify the same app across platforms and the web. Optionally, we can specify an adaptive card here for how we want the visual to look in various places where it gets rendered. And here's the code for continuing the user's task, in this case, on the launch of our UWP application. We parse the incoming deep link, we pull out the parameters that we put in, and then we use those parameters to continue what the user was doing in our UI. Let's see how this looks on a real device with a real flow. Now let's imagine that our user is on the road and he's capturing information for a new customer. Here's our Android device, and I just met a new customer backstage. So let me capture his name right now. Ryerson? Yeah, I think that was his name. We'll capture the address information, save, and so now we've got a lead that we want to follow up on. So now our user is back at his desk and wants to follow up on that lead to set an appointment time, let's say. He brings up the timeline view, and as you can see, the activity that the user was doing in our app on his mobile device is now available here. And it's been rendered using the adaptive card markup that we specified in our code. Let's pick up where we left off. And we're back now where we left off on the Android device. But now we have all the power of the PC available to us to finish what we got started. All we have to do really is set the appointment time. Let's say 2 p.m. Save, and we're done. We just enabled our user to engage on the right device at the right time across platforms. And we did all of this in the same app, built from the
if you're a
same
developer,
solution,
this really should scare you.
with
Now,
just a few
the
simple
user's gonna
changes
want
to our
this.
code
And
and the power
now
of
we're
the
gonna have to give it
Microsoft
to
Graph.
them.
Let's
And it's
pause
not
and
gonna be as
consider
easy
how powerful this
as
is.
this demo.
This is what's made possible by modernizing your code base. And this is what we mean by differentiating the user experience
Your code base that
and
was written in
fundamentally
2003.
changing the way users experience your apps. We've only scratched the surface today. There's so much more that we know you can do with these capabilities.
Whoa, Ash, what's going
And
down,
we've got
man?
lots of great sessions lined up to go much deeper on these capabilities and much more, enabled by the combination of the
You can turn them
Windows
up a
10
bit.
Fall Creators Update, Visual Studio, and the Microsoft Graph. Thank you all very much.
Hey, Ashley, could you turn them up a bit?
Thank you, Abawadi. What we just saw
I
with
need
the
some
Windows 10
audio in
Fall
my
Creators
monitors.
update isn't just the next update coming this fall. This is a big opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to keep our customers close to the content, files, and activities they've grown to use and love. It's an opportunity for us as creators to easily modernize our apps and build this new virtuous cycle where the Microsoft Graph and the Windows Shell reconnect your customers to your apps.
Yeah. Oh, now the audio dropped again.
Platforms our shared customers are using every day.
There you go.
Well, now, let's talk about our next investment, continuous delivery of your apps through the Windows Store.
Yeah, that's the only thing that matters, right?
With
Did you
Visual
hear me,
Studio
Steve?
in the Windows
I know.
Store, we now have the most comprehensive workflow solution for apps to be built, tested, and published to any platform with an unmatched feedback cycle to drive love and engagement. We're not just talking about consumer apps, but also commercial apps for use inside an enterprise or out. Well, today, we're very happy to announce that full UWP capabilities are coming to Visual Studio Mobile Center this fall, including automated build support and a full range of Windows devices available in our test cloud. You can set up an automated build pipeline with just one click from any source repo in Visual Studio Team Services, GitHub, or Bitbucket. Once your app is building in the cloud on every commit, you're able to easily run this full battery of tests on real devices in our test cloud. You can see how the apps look on the devices, whether the tests are passing or failing, and even get detailed logs and performance data to pinpoint any issues. And of course,
Sounds promising,
once you're
but it sounds like a
satisfied your
promise.
tests are passing, you can automate publishing of the app right into the Windows Store. You know, as a developer, the most exciting thing to me is the feedback cycle the Windows Store provides. This ability to listen to your users and continuously improve. And just last week, we announced a new Windows 10 experience, Windows 10s.
Oh, and that was?
We believe
S.
Windows 10s will become
Sounds
popular
for-
in schools around the world, and we're now receiving
Uh-huh.
strong interest from the enterprise. Customers see the clear benefits of the improved security and performance. But what I hope you see is a Windows
Yeah, but you need
experience
apps
where
for
your
S.
apps from the
That's
Windows
the problem.
Store take center stage.
You've tried this
Windows
already.
10s is just
Didn't
one
work.
of 500 million reasons companies like Spotify announced that they will be in the Windows Store last week. And they are not alone. Today,
Better not be.
I'm excited to announce that iTunes will be coming to the Windows Store. Windows 10 and Windows 10s users will get the complete iTunes experience, including Apple Music,
That's big.
as well as full support for the iPhone. We are serious about enabling the best experience for Windows users, and we're thrilled to have iTunes.
I'm still working on the audio, but holy crap, iTunes.
Now, not only is the store great for consumer
It's a step
apps
in the
and
right
games,
direction.
we are also working hard to make the
Now they just
store
need to
the
get
best
Chrome.
place for commercial software.
Yeah.
On that front,
Yeah, need
I'm
Chrome.
happy to announce that SAP's Digital Boardroom will be coming to the Windows Store. This is one of the most popular apps from SAP.
I'm going to try this. I'm going to
Making
cut the
real-time
stream
interactive
and then
boardroom
restart it.
presentations.
So here we
technically, I
go. This
love
shouldn't
that
take but
this
about
app is a web
5
app,
seconds.
a progressive